All right, you guys, welcome back to the channel. You already know what to do. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell as we take a deep dive in what in the world is going on with the relationship between our favorite countries, China and Japan. Oh my gosh, and don't say that you don't like those countries, because without those countries, we wouldn't have our great economy. Our great economy depends 100% mainly on China and Japan. I said mainly. We're not going to talk about the other countries. We're going to talk about where we get our cars from. You guys that are in love and get a wet vagina and a hard on from having Toyotas, Hondas, Suzukis, Mitsubishis, Subaru, whatever other Japanese make car that you're so in love with and claim they never break down. And then you have all of our other goods that are coming from China and major factories and everything. So that's where we get most of our stuff from. But let's go ahead and see what the fallout is about. And yes, it's political.
Are China and Japan slipping into a new Cold War? And did it all begin with one sentence? Because what's happening right now isn't a minor diplomatic flare. It's fast, sweeping backlash already hitting tourism, trade, entertainment, and education. In just a few days, thousands of Chinese tourists cancelled their trips to Japan. More than 543,000 tickets, nearly 40% of all bookings.
40% of all bookings were dropped after airlines offered free cancellations. Ain't nothing free. So it's really serious if it was. Jeez.
Were dropped after airlines offered free cancellations. And nearly 1 in 5 flight routes between the two countries has now been suspended. For Japan, this is more than a travel disruption. Chinese tourists are its largest visitor group, and losing them delivers an immediate blow. But the fallout didn't stop at airports and goes much further. Chinese film distributors have
That's a big industry right there, anime. And see, the funny thing is, outside of Asia, America holds the largest market for anime lovers outside of Asia. I mean, in Europe, they love anime too, but of course, in America, it's going to be times 2.
postponed multiple Japanese releases. Even Demon Slayer saw its box office revenue collapse overnight. And in a sharper economic move, Beijing has suspended imports of Japanese seafood, hitting a major Japanese export sector just
Uh-oh, that's a big one. How you gonna get that tuna?
months after previous trade disputes.
据我了解，日方此前承诺履行输华水产品的监管责任，保障产品质量安全，这是日本水产品输华的先决条件。但是日方目前未能提供所承诺的技术材料。我还想强调的是，近期由于日本首相高市早苗倒行逆施，在台湾等重大问题上错误言论，引起中国民众的强烈公愤。当前形势下，即使日本水产品向中国出口，也不会有市场。
So what triggered all this? It all started.
This woman ain't nothing to play with. She take action. But she's a troublemaker. And she's blushing right now. How often do you see troublemakers blush? A lot.
Started with a single
That was the first time I ever seen this woman smile. But she never shed a tear through them scandalous eyes. Oh my God.
comment from Japan's new Prime Minister Sani Takaichi on November 7th. She said that if China attacked Taiwan, it would create a survival-threatening situation for Japan, essentially implying Tokyo could respond militarily. And why does this single remark matter when leaders talk about Taiwan all the time? This broke a long-standing diplomatic norm. For years, Japan, the US, and their allies followed a policy of strategic ambiguity on Taiwan, never clearly saying whether they would interfere.
I know Trump cracked that. Few shots of sake and it was on.
Takaichi's remark removed that ambiguity, and China's reaction to this was swift and extreme, turning a diplomatic comment into a fast-moving regional crisis.
我们在这个关键的时刻我们也要支持日本能够有效的去稳定局面，那阻止中共的霸凌行为。
These tensions are also unfolding at a particularly sensitive moment. Japan is preparing to vote on its largest ever defense budget, with plans to raise military spending to 2% of GDP, a move strongly encouraged by Washington.
See, here's the thing about the military. the Japanese and the Chinese military. This is the problem right here. Who has more power? I mean, you should already know, but then a lot of boomers, I don't think they're aware of who has more power. And I'm not talking about far as consumer goods. Now, check out Japan. Japan is a bunch of scattered islands, just like their southern neighbor, the Philippines, right? Bunch of scattered islands, which means it's a small country. Now, Taiwan is like the size of a pea, an overgrown pea, right? And then over here to the left, all this from that desert region, all around here is China. China is larger than the United States, all 50 states. So you have this country saying that if you do anything, they're telling China if they do anything to this country, they're going to take action against China. And I'm like, okay, that's a lot of difference in power. So China has a much larger military than Japan. And then Taiwan is ruled under China. I think back in the day it was once ruled under either Korea or Japan. I can't remember, but it's not important because that was the past. I mean, the past is important, but I'm talking about now. They're ruled under China. But then Taiwan wants to be independent. But that's not going to happen right now. Back to the video.
Strongly opposed by Beijing. And it's a delicate moment for US-China relations too. Washington and Beijing are in the middle of trade negotiations, while US President Donald Trump is expected to be in Beijing in April. But what makes this moment explosive is the history. This year marks the 80th anniversary of Japan's surrender in the Second World War. Millions of Chinese civilians died under Japanese occupation, and wartime atrocities remain deeply embedded in China's national memory. Beijing has been using the anniversary to revive that history through documentaries, school materials, and state media, portraying Japan as crossing dangerous lines again. So when a Japanese prime minister hinted at military involvement over Taiwan, it collided directly with months of heightened historical sentiment. Meanwhile, the economic stakes are enormous. With $308 billion in bilateral trade last year, China is Japan's biggest economic partner. It also sent the most tourists and the largest share of international students, giving Beijing powerful levels of influence. China is also the world's second largest movie market, accounting for 20% of global box office revenue.
You hear that? Second largest movie market is China. I didn't even know that. I'm assuming outside of America, accounting for 20% of global box office revenue, because a lot of our movies in America are, pretty much over there as well, as majority of China's younger folk speak English. So a lot of our stuff is over there. And yeah.
Which explains why entertainment cut hits Japan so hard. And China has activated those pressure points. Chinese citizens make up the largest group of international students in Japan, and Beijing's Ministry of Education has now advised them to closely monitor the security situation. That advisory alone touches a politically sensitive nerve in Japan's service sector, which relies heavily on Chinese students, tourists, and entertainment consumers. And this is in the first clash. China and Japan have a long history of flare-ups, including the fierce 2012 standoff over the Senkaku Islands, which triggered mass protests, boycotts, and a collapse in Japanese tourism. But this moment is far more combustible. Takaichi, a hardline nationalist leader who took office only last month, is known for his strong support for Taiwan.
And see, my thing is, how is this going to affect American travelers? Because Japan is already complaining about American citizens going over there, acting a whole monkey on massive transit trains, dancing in front of everybody's face. Because see, when you ride the trains in other countries, everybody's to themselves. But then you have these idiots from Europe and America with dancing all up in people's passengers' faces and just doing a bunch of stupid stuff. So, and then they're trying to charge a special tax. I heard it starts either in January or February for, tourists coming from other countries, mainly, a tourist tax, which is some BS. So if you want to go to Japan, you better go before the year ends.
As a lawmaker, she visited the island several times, most recently in April. Now you have a sharply worded Taiwan remark. A new Japanese prime minister, Japan's rising military budget, strained US-China talks, and an emotionally charged Second World War anniversary. all of it has combined to turn a single diplomatic statement into a full-blown economic and political crisis. These tensions threaten to put a tangible dent in Japan's economy.
So it sounds like Japan is going to suffer the most out of the war, if this even happens. Of course, we don't want this to happen because this is going to affect America too, on the pretty much consumer side. But interesting fact on the consumer side and the economy for us. Toyota shares their cars with us. China won't share their cars with America. And we all know that Tesla is crap compared to what they're putting out in China. The electric cars over there, 100 times better than Tesla. Way more reliable. And, but we'll leave that right there. I'll catch you in the next video. It's Kai the Veil. Hope you enjoyed this. I learned something and I hope you did too. Goodbye.